Hello, everybody, and welcome to OpenExO Live. So great to have you all with us. Today, we have Suman Sasmal, who's calling in from Bangalore, India, with us. It's going to be a very exciting conversation. And as you can see on the screen, there are a number of amazing community members that are coming up in the near future. And so, as usual, before we get going, we like to share some words from our community members about the person we're interviewing. So let's go through a few here about Suman. And we start with this one from Diego Soroa. And he just said, I met Suman during a coach certification training, and he became a fundamental part of my network inside the EXO community. It is a pleasure to work with him. He is solvent, reliable, meticulous, and seasoned with a lot of experience. I have seen him deal seamlessly with complex client situations and thrive against all odds. And he is also entrepreneurial, curious, and fun. Next, we have from Daya. She just says, what I love most about working with Suman is his critical thinking approach. He has the superpower of asking sharp questions, looking at problems from a new perspective, and thus creating opportunity for finding new answers and better solutions. He is probably the highest energy person I've ever met, relentlessly working towards his MTP. I often wonder, does he ever sleep? Next, we have from Dr. Gayatri. She just said, our organization was in a state of shutdown when I met Mr. Suman Sasmal in 2019. He is a 10x, a catalyst. He mentored us, enabling the right temperament, attitude, and speed amongst the team to awake and align to our purpose. He showed us how to explore, ideate, experiment, prepare, and disrupt by balancing innovation and risk, and turn this wonderful marathon into exciting and energetic sprints. Today, we proudly stand as winners of the COVID-19 Shri Shakti Challenge from India MyGov and UN Women through the EU-funded We Empower Asia program. That's really exciting. And lastly, we have... Sorry, folks, this doesn't seem to be working. Let's try this one. Okay, folks, we also had one from Paul Epping, but it seems to have got lost in the ether. So I'm going to invite now Suman to the stage. Suman, really great to have you. How are things in Bangalore today?
Hey, very good. It's nice sunny weather, and I'm enjoying the day. So how is it going for you?
Yes, perfect. Calling from Kingston today, and everything here is good, a little bit rainy. So Suman, can you just, for the audience, let everyone know how you came across the OpenExO community, and tell us a little bit about your background as well. But before you get into that, a reminder to everybody who's watching, you can ask questions in the chat if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook or on LinkedIn. Just ask questions right there in the chat, and we will look at those as we go through this conversation. So, Suman, over to you.
Okay. So purely by accident, to be fair and honest, how I came across OpenExO. But before I get into that story, which is fairly interesting, I guess, about myself, in fact, LinkedIn would be disappointed if I start talking about myself without referring to my profile on LinkedIn. Well, for all the details, you can refer to LinkedIn. My name, Suman Sasmal, is the only, Suman Sasmal you will ever find on LinkedIn. So you can get all the details out there. But jokes apart, for 30 odd years, pretty much I've had fun. I kind of, that was my corporate experience, and I was really, after doing multiple things. So what I call is like a 4x4 kind of my experience in summary, nutshell. I worked in 4 companies, worked across 4 continents, and worked in 4 major functions, completely different and there has been four major pillars of my learning. So, what the four companies had given me, basically two of them large and two not so large, it's a completely different perspectives. And because I was in the information technology services industry, but various companies approach the same problem very differently. So that really added to my learning quotient, and I was always after learning. So that was my bit of experience with four companies. Now, coming to four continents, continents being, of course, Asia, Africa, Europe, and the US. Now, when you work and live and work in four continents, the kind of experience and exposure you have in terms of with people, the culture, and therefore the empathy, that I think adds too many points to what you eventually add up and make meaning out of. So I'm going to talk about that. The third component is about four major functions that I have worked in. I have worked in global delivery. My team size at times was in excess of 10,000, 15,000, and so on. I have worked in global sales. I have been head of country operations, and I have been leading some large corporate functions. So again, a variety of things. A variety has been a spice of my life. And then I had some what I called four major pillars of my learning. In interest of time, I'm not going to get into that. Uh, but basically, what I'm going to talk about is that these four by four essentially led me into something. I started introspecting someday that, look, I have had enough fun. Let me do something serious. What I mean by that is, I really found my purpose. And my purpose back in 2017, I said that, look, can I do something where no individual is left behind? Because I got into a social foundation space and started working on creating jobs and changing lives, basically making entrepreneurs out of college campuses in Southeast Asia, and that was something I was doing post my corporate career. When I found this purpose, because people were dreading this dystopian future courtesy digital changes and the fourth industrial revolution and everything else. So when I found this purpose, I actually said goodbye to any kind of formal working. Rather, I said that I want to drive a multiplier effect through some bright and sharp minds, so that if I do X, they can deliver and some 100X outcomes. So for that, I reached out to the number one business school in the country in India, Indian Institute of Management in Bangalore, and where I started working on a few leading projects like identifying future competences of leadership, and started working in the incubator out there to mentor local startups. And that is when one of the days when I was, doing a Singularity University chapter event, we got a message from Salim Ismail, who is, of course, the founder and chairman of OpenExO. He was visiting the city and he wanted to meet with us. Till then, honestly, it was my ignorance. I didn't know Salim, who he was. But when I met with him for dinner, a few of us, and we got to know what he was up to. I mean, his parting statement was, "Hey, Suman, are you interested?" I couldn't say no, but I didn't know what was coming next. He said, "Could you come over to Madrid next week?" I said, "What? It's like a blind date and flying off to Madrid on my own penny. I mean, I don't even know what is ahead." Well, I just took the leap of faith and I landed up in Madrid, and the rest is history. Because I honestly joined the OpenExO program to learn, the methods and the ways to drive transformational changes in companies and business and institutions across any kind of setup in the world. But what really made me stick on and move ahead was the power of the community. Some amazing people I had come across in Madrid and post Madrid, and over the last 2.5 years, I think the journey has been anything but really exhilarating. So that's my little story. It's purely accidental, but I think today I'm doing hopefully something serious. And for 30 years in my corporate career, I had fun. I had fun of learning. I'm not saying fun as in fun, but something that was more, you earn a living, therefore you do some work, and then in the process you start liking your work and so on. But today, I can relate myself to doing something that has got a direct impact onto some meaningful outcome to what people are trying to deliver. So that I find is much more meaningful, purposeful, and high outcome oriented.
Absolutely, and Suman, I actually can't believe it's been that long, but also can't believe that it's been so short. It's always so weird about time. And so, Suman, on your LinkedIn, which you mentioned, so if you want to connect with Suman and you're watching this, as he says, he's the only Suman Sasmal in LinkedIn. Your tagline there says that you enable people and companies to become 10xers. So can you explain to everyone who's watching what you mean by a 10xer?
Yeah, I mean, see, 10x, as we all know, was is a term that Larry Page had used for the first time back in the early days of Google to indicate the way of thinking and doing things at Google. But then we all know Google, what they turned out to be. It's such a big success. Now, certainly 10x started becoming a fashion. But today, I think it's out of all that. It is actually, the way I look at it, it's a mindset, it's a life skill. It's kind of table stakes. It's no more in fashion. It is something that you got to do to really move ahead in life. Now, so what I mean by the be a 10xer and the 10x is about. See, today my objective is to make the people that I work with. How can I make them a disruptor? Otherwise, we all know they might get disrupted. Now, in the process of doing that, they ought to know how to think and do 10x. No, even if they know how to think and do 10x, especially if one is part of an institution, there could be a potential immune system that works and works as a headwind, comes in the way of someone's delivering a 10x value, simply because the longer a particular institution or a company has been in presence, the larger is that immune system, and potentially that is not quite favorable as a headwind. So therefore, how do you deal with that? And no wonder that many transformational effort in the world today, 70% of them, according to a research carried out by Harvard Business Review published in their article in March 2019, had failed to deliver any meaningful result. And I really need to change that. And when I look at, when I work with corporate executives at one end of the spectrum, and I meet with my mentees in the incubator, I see quite a diverse set of issues in their mindset. And slowly I work with them. And in the process, not only I get to change their mindset and thinking, but in the process, I also get to learn a whole lot, because there is so much that I get to learn from this diversity of folks, and which I then really plow it back, because continuously it's a build, measure, learn, that cycle which goes on, and which is something is the core essence of the EXO philosophy. And having done that, what the EXO transformation process, the sprint, does is on this mindset. It helps you identify certain initiatives and how you take these initiatives through to a meaningful closure, right? Identification of those initiatives which deliver 10x outcomes. Yep.
Absolutely. So who can actually be a 10xer? What is the prerequisite for someone to actually get into being a 10xer, thinking 10x?
Well, young and old, men and women, anybody, Asia or Europe, Africa or US, Bangalore or Delhi, any person, anybody. In fact, in my programs, I have had, member of the board of leading multinational companies, to small and mid-sized business owners, to corporate consultants, to venture capitalists, to whatnot. Because and the more the diverse the crowd is, the better is the nature of conversation. In fact, I would hate to have an in-company program where everyone is of the similar type and they are kind of very similar in the thought process and thinking. So, in fact, the effectiveness of some of these mixed batch, mixed group programs I have seen is of great help. The only prerequisite, of course, there's a prerequisite, is that one has to be, come with an open mind, open to learning new things, and open to immerse herself for the 5-week duration. And it's a fairly rigorous program in terms of, because it is not about the number of hours you're putting in, but when it is kind of destroying some of your commonly held beliefs for donkeys of years, you feel stressed. Now you got to deal with that stress, and on top of that, you have to do the additional work. There's a lot of introspection, a lot of those kind of thinking, rethinking, reimagining is needed, and that might make people tired. But I have honestly seen no one feels tired, but on the contrary, people feel energized and they look forward to the next session always. So these sessions have been doing great on folks. In fact, some of the programs have received more than 90 plus on net promoter score, which makes it perhaps better than even world class, and it has been amazing. Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. Now, Suman, last year you spent quite a lot of time putting together a video series which was called Path to Exponential on LinkedIn, and of course, once it's on LinkedIn, it's there forever. So if people are interested, do go have a look. It really was so insightful in really getting more people to think about exponentials, think about EXO, and whilst the OpenExO community is here and it's global, we see it as like a subset of a bigger movement, right? Of people who are thinking exponentially, thinking purpose-driven. So how did that video series go in terms of getting like-minded people to join the EXO movement?
Right. It was just, one fine morning, I just felt that let me run a video series to take this message of what is exponential. Everyone is now, again, exponential organization, exponential thinking. Before it gets into fashion, let me demystify some of these things. And I floated a series called Path to Exponential. It's a 20 video, 5-minute each kind of a series I ran on LinkedIn. Each one of them on an average drew anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 kind of viewership on a limited base of whatever I do have, which makes it fairly good and exciting. But what it done was that it created a lot of conversation in people. Mm-hmm. And of course, not because of that for sure, but I'm sure some of these multiple things get added up because a whole lot of communities are contributing in different ways. And Kevin, you being the chief community officer, you have done a super job in terms of connecting folks, because when I joined, perhaps the size of the community was hardly 200, maybe 300 at the most, and today it stands at 6,900, which is like 34x in less than 5 years, less than 2 years. So the point is, I mean, if anyone is talking about 10x, here is a right proof right here that there is a 30x proof of different small things that you do. And then you have these amazing people who are, givers. They are not coming here to get things. They're here to give things, to learn things, to change the world, because we want to transform the world for a better future. And that's the purpose of OpenExO. And it kind of ties in so well to my individual purpose that no individual left behind in this new world. I think it's kind of generated a lot of good conversations. Now, has it generated the number of community members from India as much as I would have loved to? Not really. So certainly there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be done. But certainly the quality of conversation, especially the people who have attended some of these programs, both in India and outside where I have been a part of, I think I have seen the quality of enrichment. Each one has gone back convinced. Each one has gone back, carried back with them the power of purpose, the power of exponential, the power of a changed mindset, and how they can all be put together to transform the world for a better future. So I am absolutely very clear, even if in terms of numbers, it may not run into hundreds and millions, given that India is a country of 1.3 billion. But the point is, in terms of its ability to drive multiplier effects, is pretty high. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Now we've been speaking about a lot of the positive things, but one thing that often helps people is to actually hear some of the tough stories. So during your work, whether it's been on sprints or looking at teams and helping them on your programs with exponentials, what are the sort of tough moments that you found, and how have you perhaps dealt with those to help people get to that 10x mindset?
Right. So let me talk of a milder problem first before I get into a tougher one that I've come across. So the milder problem is the power of EXO is often very deceptive, because one has got to just trust the process and move on, and the magics truly start happening after the fourth week and the fifth week and so on, because it's otherwise, I mean, at times people don't really get to see what is going to be the outcome at the end of the 5 weeks of the 10-week sprint process. It takes a little while, and so therefore that deceptive power, you got to make sure that people really start trusting the process and through you, because you have to earn the trust from day one, and that's not always very easy, but you have to do that, right? And that's the job of a coach and a mentor and so on. So that's first. Second, because as I said, it is truly driving a change in the mindset. At least on a couple of occasions, I have come across when I have been coaching through the sprint process, some very senior corporate executives, they get into, I mean, very, very hot debates and arguments to the extent that it can get almost abusive. And of course, no one would like to be in such a situation. Now, how do you deal with that? Of course, I'm not here to get into those details, but the point is, those are the things, in retrospect, I feel, again, is a part of the journey. It's a lot of emotional ups and downs that happens to the sprint, and then the end result and the end outcome is fantastic. Now, the same folks who really had the verbal duel between themselves, they kind of would hug each other at the end of the day when they see that, yes, they are all working for a very, very higher order, meaningful and purpose. They're not doing something just for the heck of it. So when you keep purpose at the center of everything,
Yeah.
everything else kind of loses its, whether it is good, bad, no one even has the time to think. But it is the first 1 or 2 weeks are very critical, because people still don't see the power of some of these things. That's what I'm saying. The deceptive nature of the power at times comes in the way of driving this process.
So obviously motivating people early in the process is extremely vital, right?
Yes,
and do
yes.
you have any tips for people to like what do you do to motivate people? Are you showing examples? Are you giving them just a lot of encouragement? How do you allow them to understand that deceptive nature?
Those are given. I won't even talk about that. But what I would like to talk about is to be with them, demonstrate your patience, show your patience, and be with them. Because the first 1 or 2 weeks, people are going through a lot of turmoil, because it's an investment of time, it's an investment of effort, and on top of that, their mindsets are being in turmoil, put into turmoil. Now, in that situation, your empathy, your willingness to understand, your willingness to hold on to your patience, your perseverance, and work with them, work through them, and stuff is going to be very important. And that's what I thought certainly helped. And of course, my personal times with them. Of course, this is pre-COVID world when I could, catch up over a drink or a coffee. But then today, I mean, we are figuring out a way, a method in the madness. And yes, these things are also done. You can catch up with someone over a cup of coffee, even if you're on a video. So it helps. It helps. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Suman, it's been great chatting to you. And like we did when I was in Bangalore, we could talk and keep going, but we do have to call this one. Anything you'd like to end off the call, sharing or saying to the folks who are watching?
Well, I mean, those who are watching now or those who will watch later, the only thing that I can leave you with is experience the power of exponential thinking, exponential mindset. It can be applicable not just in the business that you are in, not the venture that you are running, not the department or division you are running in your own corporate life, but actually it can bring in a change in your life. And this is something will make you so relevant for the future, because that is what is important. Honestly, I have had a great corporate career. Sitting today, I can say that if I continued with that, I could say that I am no longer relevant for today. Yes, I could carry on with my job, but then am I relevant 10 years from now? No, not really. 5 years from now, or even today. I had to do so much of unlearning and relearning and learning to make myself relevant. So, therefore, I do take pride in saying that today I'm doing a whole lot of serious stuff. Although, I was doing a very, very good work in my corporate life, but I say that it was fun along the way. Today, I'm doing a whole lot of serious work in a fun way, but a lot of serious outcomes hopefully will come out of it. Like you have seen an example, like Reseda Life Sciences, and
Yes.
it made a significant difference to her, and there are so many such examples. Yeah.
Absolutely, Suman. So really great chatting to you today. We'll chat to you again, of course, soon within the community. So thank you so much. Have a good evening there.
Thanks, Kevin, for hosting me. Truly appreciate your time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So that was Suman Sasmal. Always great chatting to Suman. As I said, I was lucky enough to spend a few weeks with Suman in Bangalore earlier this year, just before lockdown. So thanks everybody for joining in on the call today. We're going to end off the call just with a video about our parents events, Surviving the School Year, that is going to be taking place on the 21st of November. It's a little bit of a different angle for us, but we believe that we need to help parents to understand what to do with their kids in these exponential times. So thanks, folks, and we'll see you again next week.